Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video we are going to start the next topics, and you can see from your screen I have mentioned few topics which we are going to cover in upcoming videos. So the very first topic will be ORM, and I will start from this video. I will explain you what is ORM, and I will dive deep into ORM, and I will show you practically how you can use it to interact with our database, so you will get a clear understanding of ORM. And it is very important from the perspective of a backend engineer that you know how to interact with your database. So ORM is a way in which you can interact with database using Python code. So using simple Python language you can interact with database. Instead of SQL query you just have to write Python, and that's how you can interact with the database. So I will start with ORM. I will show you each aspects of it, and I will also show you by showing examples. So after that we'll move forward towards query sets, and we'll see it in detail. And from interview perspective also, these topics are very important, and they are like very frequently asked in interviews. I have given a lot of interviews and seen questions from ORM, query sets, serializers. ORM stands for Object Relation Mapping, and if you don't get this full form, don't worry, because it is very easy. So ORM is a kind of abstract API which lies between our database and our backend, and it helps us to interact with our database. It helps us to communicate with our database through a simple Python language. So think of it like that. We all know we write SQL queries to query our database to perform operations into our database. We all know this. Like we need SQL query language to interact with, to communicate with our database. And it is good if you know SQL, but if you don't know SQL, Django provides you ORM. Or like by using ORM, you can just write by using Python. Like if you have ORM in Django, by using just Python, you can query to the database. You don't need to write SQL queries, raw SQL queries. So you don't need to learn a new language SQL. You can just query from database using Python language. So now in interviews, if someone asks you what is an ORM, so you can say this definition to them, which I have mentioned here. ORM is a kind of high-level DB abstraction API, means database abstraction API, which we can use to perform CRUD operations into database, searching to the database, and applying filters to the query. So we can query from database, we can update, we can delete, we can perform all kind of possible operations to the database using just Python language because of this ORM. So ORM is just simple high level API which we can use to perform operations to the database. Now let's see in practical by applying to some examples. Now I have opened my VS Code, and I will show you how we can use that ORM queries. We have already used it in our APIs, but I would like to introduce a new thing to you so that you can get idea of it also. So I will open a shell. So Django provides a shell here, so we can write python manage.py shell, and inside this shell we can access we have access to our project. So after that command, now you can see three like arrows here, which indicates that now we are in the shell. So the first step is to import the model. So we can write from and the name of our app, which is API dot models, and then we will write the import statement, import the name of the model. So for now the our model was nodes, so we can write this from API dot models import nodes. And if you press enter and if you don't get any output, it means your first line is correct. So it's kind of Jupyter notebook that you have already used, that you might have already used. If you don't know, it is very simple. Just write a correct statement from api.models I have imported. So from this directory, and inside this we have a models.py file, and here I imported this model. Now I will write my first ORM query. So let's say I created a variable name query set QS, and I would like to get all the objects of this nodes model. So I will write nodes dot objects dot all. So this is one of the ORM query which shows you all the objects of a model. So for example, for this nodes model, whatever nodes we have inside this model, we are going to get all this in this QS query set. So if I press enter, it is not giving any error. It means we are correct. So I can write query set and it will print whatever inside it. So you can see currently this is empty because we don't have any nodes inside it right now. So this is how you can print all the nodes. Model could be anything. Model could be user. Model could be payments. Model could be anything. But this has to be same. Dot objects dot all is a method that you are calling on this objects, which is printing all the objects inside this model. Now we can use another. Let's say I want to create an object inside this nodes model using ORM. So how I can do that? I'm showing you that. So for that you need to write nodes dot objects. We are saying that inside nodes model we want to create object. So we have to write nodes dot objects dot create, and then we need to give these fields. So first we need to give title. So we need to give title and make sure this matches exactly with this key. So title, let's say created from ORM. Title I am keeping this so that we can identify this successfully. And then we have to give content also. Content is, let's say, ABCD. This is the content that I want to store. For now, this is just a dummy node, so you can add anything. And I think these are the two only fields that we are required to fill, because created and updated at field will be automatically updated. So once you will press enter, you can see a nodes object is created. And now if you want to see, you can just query it again. So if I will write nodes dot objects dot all again, and I will print the query set, I can see one node object here, and this is a list of nodes objects. So for getting the details, I can access my first element of the list like this, US0. So you can see this is simple Python syntax. Like query set is a list, and I am getting the first element from the list, and it is giving me a nodes object. And now I can get the properties of it. I can access all the properties inside this node. For example, if I want to print the title, I can write this query set 0 index dot title, and it will print the title of it. And if I will write query set dot content, it will print the content. Now I'll explain you how we can update using ORM query. So first I would like to fetch all the nodes objects. So I'm writing a query nodes dot objects dot all, and we can print it QS, and it is showing that we have one node object. So I want to update my first and only one node subject, so I'm writing nodes one. And as I already explained you, our query set is a list of node subjects. So for getting the first element of the list, I can write nodes query set 0. It will give me the first element in this query set, which is my first node. And I can, to verify, I can print like nodes one dot. If I am printing the title, I should get created from ORM, which we created a while ago using ORM queries only. So now we can see that we can access this node. If I write nodes one dot content, I am getting ABCD, means everything is correct. Now to update it, we just need to write nodes one dot title. If I want to update it, I can write updated title by ORM. And after writing this, you have to write one more command, nodes.save. So you have to call save method every time if you are updating any instance of the model. So if you update any object using ORM query, it is mandatory that you have to run this save method after it, so that your changes will be committed to the database. If you don't run this, it won't be committed to the database and it won't be consistent. So that's why it is important that you run this save method after it. And if you will print nodes dot title now, you will see this update. sorry, this updated title that we just updated using ORM. So this is how you can update it. And now I will like to explain you the last thing that you have to do in CRUD operation using ORM is delete. So to delete, you just need to write nodes1 dot delete, and you have to run this method on this object which you want to delete, and it will delete this node from the database. And if you check the query set, you can see that this is empty now, and you can write it again also if you want to verify it, nodes dot objects dot all, and it will give you an empty query set if you print it. Sorry, if you just write now query set, you can see this is empty, means the single node has been deleted. So this is how you can write queries to perform CRUD operations. Now I would like to create one more node here so that I can show you the other things that you can do with ORM also. So I'm creating a node object here. I'm writing node, title, first node, and then I'm giving content. I'm writing some random content inside it, and it will create a node object for me. And similarly, I'm going to create a second node also, and a third node. Now we have plenty of nodes with us, and if we write query set, we can see we have a list of nodes object in our query set, and in all objects we have different nodes. So if you want to access any of the node, like if I want to access the first node or second node, I can just write q1 and it will give me that object. Now we can perform certain operations on this. For example, if I want to filter out nodes, or if I want to get a particular node, because every time I don't know this index of it, like on which index which node is present, I will search with ID. So for that I can write, uh, let's say I want to get the second node that I just created. So I will write a second node, and how I can fetch that using ID. So I have to write nodes.object.get is a method which will give you the instance that you are looking for, and you just have to give the primary key here. So the primary key is ID, and I want to give the ID 4 because here you can see the primary key. So if I write 4, it will give me the second node object. Sorry, you have to write objects here, and it now in second node my second nodes will be stored. So if I'll print second node dot title, it will give me the title of the second node. So you can see here second node is the title that we are getting. So it means we have successfully fetched our second node. And there are other filters also that you can use. I will show you next in the documentation of Django what you have to try. So now I would like to show you through documentation how query set looks and what are the things that you have to keep in mind while writing query set. So whenever you write on Google query sets, you will see this Django documentation reference, and you have to click on this so that you will reach to this page. And here you can learn more about query set APIs and what things you can do using query sets. You can find everything here. So on right side you can see methods that return new query sets. So these are some methods which you can use on your manager to get the query sets. One thing that I want to highlight first before starting with this is by this line. Here you can see a for loop for in entry.objects.all. It is saying, it is printing something. So this is one query set. You all know I just taught you like something if we write like this model name dot objects dot all, it is a query set which will contain all the entries, all the instances of this model Now you know entry is a model, you know all is a method, but you have doubt about these objects. What is this? Like you can think of it like it represents the objects of this instances. But if in an interview someone asks you what is this objects, entry dot objects, if you write in ORM entry dot objects, what is this? So you have to say it is a manager which manages all the instances of this class. So object is a manager which helps us to interact with our database. So interact with our this entry model in our database. So object is a manager that we have to use, and on this manager we can apply these methods. Like all is also a method, filter is a method, exclude is a method. So these are some methods that you can use on manager, and I will tell you like which are most important and which are most frequently used methods. So filter is something that you are going to use like most of the times, 95% of the times you are going to use filter. Exclude is also very important, you have to see. Annotate, order by is also important, and you can see values are also important, distinct will be using sometimes, and defer only. These are also two most important methods that you can use. They help in optimizations of queries, and first I would like to like explain you this, because this is important. Filter is important. So when you will click on that filter, you will reach here, and it says filter returns a query set containing the objects that match the given lookup parameters. So in filters, whenever you write model name dot objects dot filter, in filter you have to pass some lookup parameters based on which it will filter the objects. So I will show you how it is going. Let me find out some examples for you. So here you can see entry dot objects dot filter. So this is a query which filters from entry model, and here objects is manager and filter is a method on this manager, and it is filtering the all the entries who has year published date year 2005. So it will contain all the instances of this entry model in which publisher's date is 2005. So it will be a list of all those entries. So this is how filter works. You have to give, you can provide more than one parameters also, lookup parameters. So I recommend you to like go through these methods once, find out in documentation, read about them. And if you don't understand it, don't worry. I'm going to explain it when we are going to like build projects. We are going to use it, and at that time we will come back to this documentation, and I will show you how to find out the right thing. For now, just have a look of it, like what are the methods available in ORM, and once you are familiar with it, we can proceed further to the uh, next topic that we are going to cover is query set. So I think ORM is clear to you, and if you have any doubt, you can ask in comment box. And if you want me to explain it more clearly with more examples, you can also comment it. I will make a separate video of ORM just for practical examples. But I think for this video it is sufficient for now, and you have a good idea of how you can perform CRUD operations and search and filters to models using ORM. And you can find more by this Django documentation, and this is very easy documentation of the technologies that I have ever seen. Django is very user friendly and beginner friendly documentation, so you can go and learn more about these methods and filters. So I hope you like this video. Please make sure you watch all the videos of this playlist so that you can get much of it. Thank you.